Welcome back, gamers, to another fluffy video, yada yada yada. I think I've reached a new level of desperation to create something that people would actually want to watch, you know, whoring for views like a real YouTuber. But don't worry, I'm not willing to go to jail yet. This video is just gonna be a short take on the unique Bronco augment. Spoiler alert, it's not really worth looking at. Which is what my crush said to me back in high school, which is what everyone with a brain would have thought anyways when they saw this. I'm not making a revelation here, so please save yourself the time and cringe. Watch something else on YouTube. I spent 4 formas, an Orcan catalyst, and probably 4 hours trying to find a purpose for the Bronco Prime. That's still probably more time than what God spent on figuring out my purpose. Like, hey, let's leave this one blank and see what happens to him. Oh, and timestamps are in the video description. I'm really sorry for wasting your time. Now let's get this out of the way first before we move on to the mod. The Bronco, or Bronco Prime at least, is a half-decent weapon. I mean, it's not trash tier. Sure, there are better stuff for secondaries, and the Bronco Prime does feel kinda outdated, if you will, with just 4 shots per magazine coupled with a 2-second reload. God. But even with a build like this, which is good enough, you can still 2-shot level 100 elite lancers and take down level 160 exo officers in about 20 seconds. Of course, this is all done in the simulacrum. It may not be as easy in actual gameplay scenarios, but hey, if you're running a DPS boosting frame like Banshee or Chroma, then you could potentially inflict some riot level damage in Warframe. Please don't ban me, YouTube. With that out of the way, let's examine the Dizzying Rounds mod real quick. There are 2 things we're gaining here: 200% status chance and the ability to open up enemies to finishers. I mentioned the status buff first because that's what most players would look at, and honestly, with it being additive to other status mods of similar nature and the Bronco Prime having a base status chance of 12.9%, it's not really gonna turn your Bronco into catch moon levels of DPS, okay? If it was a flat 200% boost to status, then we'd be talking, especially with the number of pellets this thing can reach with the multi-shot mods. And really, if you're looking to just boost the damage output of your Bronco or Bronco Prime, a Riven would be the better bet IMO, considering it has a disposition of 1.4. And this is what I believe would drive most players to just disregard this as a trash mod. Of course, I'm just assuming things again. They could be the minority, and I've only really gotten feedback from Discord, as well as some comments I've read on the wiki page. Let's take another look at Dizzying Rounds. Stun enemies and open them up to finishers. You know how great that could be? Imagine the scenario where you're peacefully strolling about a Grineer cruise ship, laying waste to all their stuff, elite lancers flying in the background with explosions and whatnot. Suddenly, there's a big bad level 100 heavy gunner Eximus in your way, and that thing be like, haha, I am big and bad, I will ruin your day. Kinda like with some people and their ex-wives / GF. Anyways, you reach out for your Brahma, but oh wait, ran out of arrows. So you switch to your beautiful Bronco Prime, fire a shot right into its face, and deliver the execution with a finisher from your insert favorite melee weapon. The point that I'm trying to get across over here is, sometimes, or occasionally for me, there are enemies that kinda act like roadblocks. They slow you down by like 2 seconds, which is completely unacceptable in this game, of course. You can make very, very quick work of them with a finisher, and it's a near seamless process as well. I mean, if you're quick enough, you could probably get a finisher done in the same time it takes to raise a Redeemer and fire a heavy shot. Maybe even less. As you can clearly see here, I'm just running around in the simulacrum, killing bombard Eximuses with finishers. Don't have to put them to sleep or cast a spell, whatever. Shoot them in the face, stab them in the back. Or the front. It doesn't really matter. I could see this sort of a setup being useless for Excalibur Umbra mains, but are there actually any Umbra mains out there in 2020? I don't know. I just don't notice them as much in pub games, I guess. Then again, I play solo like 95% of the time, so I'll leave that one up to you guys. Feel free to leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. Now, if I managed to get you excited about this mod, then unfortunately, I'm gonna have to tell you that nothing is perfect. Some enemies are just immune to finishers, stuff like Bursas, Ambulus, some of the amalgam units. Like, you can still do finishers on the ones with humanoid legs, like the amalgam machinist. The freakier ones, let's not touch them with a 10-foot orthos, if you know what I mean. Dizzying rounds is also useless against demolists and sentience. Of course, sentience, the only chance DE has against us. And even on some units like the Nox, you're better off trying to shoot the bloody thing with the Bronco itself, even with the same build, than attempting any sort of fancy finisher on that boy. I haven't tested with every single enemy type and variation, so please, if you want to add anything down in the comments, feel free. I'll give you a nice big juicy heart. And yeah, so much for a finisher build, you might think, but all is not lost. This can still be a very interesting proposition for those of you who run with arcane trickery. It may kinda sound like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but don't be surprised if the Bronco Prime with dizzying rounds is featured in a future Lich Hunter build video. I'm sure there's a synergy, combo, whatever that turns the Bronco Prime into a center point for some sort of endgame build. I just haven't found it yet, and I kinda don't want to waste any more resources on this thing, but that's what the Warframe community is great for, right? You know, sharing builds and strategies. So if you do have anything in mind, again, leave comments. This may be a little off topic, but I do appreciate the fact that DE is giving us these interesting augment mods with the new Nightwave. I've said this countless times before, and I'm sure some people are fucking annoyed by it, but hey, even a useless augment mod can trigger that spark of curiosity. Gets you thinking on how to use something and maximize it, and even if it is bad, it can't be worse than that Titania augment.